All right, man. We are live here today with Brian McGrorarty, a good friend of mine for years from Core Title. So, Brian, glad to have you on here to kind of update everybody. You're a title expert, and one of my preferred companies. And I'm glad to have you take some time here and share with the real estate community what's going on, and for all the realtors out there who have questions, bring your questions as we're discussing things here. But Brian, let's talk about your company first. Tell us what you do, what title insurance is for those who don't know, and a little bit about Core.
For sure. Sure. Thanks again for the opportunity. It's always fun to be, out here providing a good message for everybody. God knows there's a lot of misinformation out there. So thank you, Matt, for taking the time to put this all together. Core Title. We do residential commercial title insurance in New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Florida, and Michigan. What we try to do is celebrate the same transaction of the sale. We try to do a different way of doing business. We kind of want to bring the old school and the new school together. We want to have a situation where everybody's, excited about probably one of the biggest transactions they're ever going to have or purchases in their lifetime. But more importantly, too, is develop a sense of community. So, we do our best to communicate with our clients, our buyers, our sellers, whoever we might be representing or taking care of at that time. And man, we just try to get out there and spread the good vibes.
Awesome. Awesome. So how many locations do you have? In our market, I'm in South Jersey. I know you guys are in multiple states. How many, for those New Jersey people who are local to you, how many locations are there?
Oh, geez. Well, we have South Jersey offices. We have about 4 locations just between, going into like little satellite spots here and there that we can go to. Sicklerville, Mount Laurel is our main hub. We have a few other spots that we share with some attorneys down in Florida. We're in the Miami area, Tampa area, and let's see, Fort Lauderdale. So Michigan, everybody always asks for Michigan. It's a totally different state. They do different things in a variety of ways. And then I'd say probably 10, 12 offices in total between satellite offices and main hubs.
And Philadelphia as well, right? Since we're so close.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Philadelphia, Race Trade office, brand new, and got one coming up around the corner soon to be.
Awesome. So let's get into it, man. Real estate has changed over the last 2 weeks amidst this whatever you want to call it, breakout, and with all the laws that are changing, social distancing and everything else. At first, when the announcements came out, it got a little scary. We thought title was going to shut down, courthouses and all that stuff. And we were reading posts that it ended up not being true. So if you can kind of share, in title, the process for those who don't know is real simple. When you buy a house, you go under contract. We, order title for you from companies like Brian's, who has to go get details in the history on the property. And they use courthouses for that. And the big scare was, what if courthouses closed? So can you share, what actually happened, that even though people are hearing that some courthouses are closed, how that really affected you guys and what the changes are?
Yeah. Well, the traditional way of business, as you mentioned, we go through a 60-year abstract of title. We collect all liens and judgments, find the encumbrances, essentially finding out whatever the seller's problems are or things that are attached to that property. And then from there, we're trying to find the things that are, we'll say, erroneous, as well as exposing things that shouldn't be there on title, and then clearing at the end of the day so the seller's problems don't become the buyer's problems. For the most part, the things that we kind of ran into in the beginning, like you said, is everybody traditionally thinks that the courthouses themselves and the counties, they do everything. They don't. They actually have the municipalities. Just as, you pay your water bill through your local township, they do have online access. So the big thing, like you said, the scare was as soon as everybody said, oh, the courthouses are closing down and they're limiting to, not, was it essential personnel only?
Yeah.
And, it became this whole thing. So I could say the good news is about, and as some of my other title friends have said before, right now you have online access that we can get to. And maybe we're not doing a whole 60-year abstract of title, but we can still go back a good amount of years already for mortgages, for deeds, and see exactly where things are. Right now, the surrogate's office, they're closed. You have a variety of counties that are opening, closing. They have access. They don't have access. That was the big deal. Is like, Bri, what's the exact message? And Matt, I'm sure you've gone through the same thing. Is there's just no right answer like today. Because
Yep.
today there might be one answer, and then tomorrow there's a different answer, and then a couple hours from now, then there's another answer. So
Yep.
what we're doing is it's a case by case basis. It's a situation. Every situation is different from the next. What we're really trying to do is just try to um, take each individual deal, see what opportunities we have to close those things, what roadblocks, what detours that we have to go around. So the good news is that because of that online access and because we have such great underwriters, they've given us the ability to really still close business. And then for those times, I think CO inspections became a big issue. I know my friend Greg Rego was talking about that before. That's not something that's required by the lender, but at the same time too, you're a great real estate agent. You still got to advise your clients, your buyers, your sellers that you want to have the right things done. So we're
Yep.
always encouraging our clients to say, hey, listen, get everything you can done, get it done, get receipts, get it all on paper. And then at the time of settlement, there's going to be a little extra paperwork. So that way we make sure that everybody's done their part.
Yep. So, that's a real realtor, I guess, realtor and buyer slash seller issue, depending on the contract. When the townships are closed, they don't want to put their housing inspector at risk. But all the counties
Yeah.
and townships are flexing a little bit. And they may go to, the state. I don't know if it's state law or, in Salem County, we have some areas that are pretty rural where they don't even do inspections. The owner basically signs a waiver that says, not a waiver, but whatever it's called, where they guarantee that they put in the smoke detectors in the locations that they were told, and they sign off. They say that they did that, and that's good enough for a CO. So we may see a lot of cities adopt that for the next few months. But in regards to title, you guys are open, right? All your locations are open. Well, obviously
100%.
not to the public, but go ahead.
Yes, no, definitely. We're trying to incorporate the laws and protocols of social distancing. I mean, we're taking this very seriously. The first and foremost, as we could probably all agree, is that what this whole this situation is about resources, right? And if, God forbid, something happens to one of our guys or gals and they limit our opportunity to close business, well, then there goes our opportunity to keep the company going. So we're making sure that we keep no more than 10 people at the office at any given time. And what that means is when you're coming to a settlement, the realtors, the loan officers, the attorneys, we're asking them to stay outside in the foyer. They don't need to be there. Only the essential personnel, the buyers are signing with the closer. The sellers are signing in a whole different room with another closer, or the let's see, what's something else that came up on that? Oh, a big question I've been asking is, well, what happens if my seller or buyer really needs me there? Okay, well, you can be there, but then we're just gonna take our moment to say, okay, we're gonna distance ourselves, and you can go through all the documents that you need to, and then when the time that comes around for everything to be finished, then we'll collect the paperwork and we'll move on. Pens, what we're doing is we're actually having each individual person grab their own pen. Hey, it's yours. It's our gift to you. We're wiping down everything. For those who have closed a court title, that we try to do our best to keep our offices, polished, clean, a little bit bougie, as that's the word going around. But what we're really trying to do is make sure everybody feels comfortable. We're not trying to have a whole bunch of people gather in there. And sometimes during our crazy months and closing times, end of the month, you can have anywhere between 20 and 30 people walking through the core lobby, which is fine and it's great and it's a happy time, but not this time. So what we want to do again is just make sure everybody does feel comfortable. You mentioned before, refinances are really big right now. You have astronomically low rates. It's a fantastic time to refinance if you're able to get in there and take advantage. But even more so is that, the big thing now is having those at-home closings. That used to be a big thing for title companies to say, well, hey, you don't have to come to our offices. You can go to your own home and we'll, sign the dotted line on the kitchen table. That's something that some of our notaries, they don't want to do. And we have to respect their wishes. So for those that are and still closing business, then great, kudos to them. But we're just trying to protect the powers that be in our core family, as well as our clients and the people that are associated with them.
Yeah, so I'll speak to the realtors, in this tough time of having closings. I personally stopped my sellers from going to closings more than 10 years ago. Probably closer to 15 years ago, I was getting docs notarized in advance,
Having to sign that deed package.
Right. I mean, at the end of the day, the seller signs, less than 10 pieces of paper and stares at a buyer signing 200 pages.
Yep.
So realtors, I mean, if you're out there, yeah, you want to hold your client's hand, but today you don't want to touch their hand. So there's no need to sit next to them. There's a professional being paid. You're welcome to, go and notarize your own documents. Every realtor, in my opinion, should be a licensed, certified notary.
Right.
And you should, the final number sheet, you can go sign your deed, do everything, and then electronically sign the HUD-1, right? Or closing disclosure. And that avoids your client from having to be at the table with anybody. I just actually did a walkthrough with clients, and they said, Matt, are you able to be there at all? And I said, look, guys, there is nothing that I can do for you in that room. You're signing a mortgage. Bottom line of the mortgage is you pay, you stay, you don't, you won't. So I can read all the documents to you, but the notary is truly the safest one in the building. And that's who is certified and feels most comfortable based on her company to sit with you. And, truthfully, realtors, we don't belong in the rooms. Legal representatives, I had John Rothenell on here last week. We were discussing, what he's doing. Tomorrow is one of his closings. I think he might even be there in an iPad. So, iPad stand holders. I mean, I guess start selling them because they're going to be going like crazy.
But that's where everything's going now. You know, with you have different bills that are already being pushed through to do virtual closings, and that's the future. And I'm sure you'll probably agree, it's long overdue. I feel like sometimes our business, we just kind of become that antiquated way of doing things just because it's traditional, and why break it if it's not broke. So the way I look at it now, we found a way to break it. So there's a great opportunity for us to evolve as a real estate industry as a whole, to come together and get behind this, because I think it's going to not only make our business better, but more importantly, I think it's going to do something that makes the consumer a little bit more adaptable, because I'm sure you could probably agree to this too. When I got into the business back in the boom in '08, we had a little bit of a black eye on the industry, and it was tough to really talk to our buyers and sellers. And they probably looked at us once, 2, 3 times, or maybe even if you had like 7 heads. But when they did that, they were just unsecure about what was going on in their own life. So what I can say is, I'm really anxious to have these loan officers and Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, everybody to get involved, get behind the RON bills, the remote online notaries. It's something that's definitely needed.
Yeah. So why don't you explain that to people, who don't know what that is, because that's kind of new to what I'm hearing. I heard Greg mention it, John mention it. So share what that means.
Sure. So right now, as you mentioned, the traditional way of doing business is you sit with a notary, sit with a closer. They're going through all your documents, and they're explaining everything to you, line by line. And then more importantly, they're that person that kind of guides you through the process. They're the quarterback of the deal. The RON bill, what that's doing is that they're trying to figure out a way to almost, in other words, kind of make like a FaceTime, a Zoom conference call transaction, kind of like how we're doing now. But the big thing is security. That was big back in 2015 when we, turned our industry upside down, to put in a lot of different protocols just to protect our clients, to make sure that they were well aware what they were signing was in fact what they were getting. But even more so now, you have technology as it emerges. You have the bad people in the world, right? So what they're doing, you have wire fraud, you have all kinds of fraud, whether it's through phishing, emails, all kinds of stuff. And so the way I look at this is that this bill is going to be pushed through so we can do these transactions kind of like how we're doing it right now. And the way I look at it is, if we can go into Ticketmaster and go into the Zach Brown Band concert, and they can have those awesome stubs and whatever to make that identifiable to that ticket holder, then how can we not do this? signing, a piece of real estate away. So
Yeah.
that's my personal thought. Like, that's where I see it's going. What's your take on it? What are you seeing out there?
I mean, I see realtors from the realtor side of it. I would say, realtors will now understand quicker. They're going to learn a lot more about the closing, the actual necessities, who really has to be there. What do we really do? I have friends across the country selling real estate, and some who have said jokingly, "Wait a second, you guys actually go to your closings? What do you do there?" And I'm
Right.
like, "Wait, why don't you go?" And now it's
Right.
become, a popularity contest for taking pictures at your closing with your clients.
Doing your selfies, yeah.
Right. You can do all that stuff at the house in your walkthrough, guys. Everybody will know you sold that house.
Right.
So, I really think that basically it's going to force agents to become more aware of real estate law, right? And the actual needs of the consumer. Our job isn't to sit and hold your hand and walk you through mortgage documents. That's technically the mortgage company, and the title company at times takes that job over, or their attorney, right? They have counsel for that.
Right.
So my suggestion is always work with experts, right? You're on here because you're a local expert that I know, like, and trust, and those are the companies that I align with, and that's who I want everybody I know to work with, because it makes a better transaction for the consumer. And I think this whole scare is going to push people to really start questioning hey, Mr. Realtor, how many homes have you really sold? Yeah, I see on Facebook and all that stuff, but how many homes did you sell? And who are you working with? And then the consumers are going to get to, working with the best agents in the business. And just because an agent's new doesn't mean their managers aren't the best agents in the business, or weren't, right? So it's going to be leveraging everybody you work with. So that's what I see on the real estate end. I guess on the title side of things, is there any concerns, for buyers or sellers or realtors that, anything that's come out that you would say, hey, hold on, before you guys do this, just so you should, check this or that?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think, especially now more than ever, just as a salesperson, is that I think an expectation conversation you need to have with your buyers or sellers before they really start getting into the nitty gritty of a transaction. Say, hey, listen, let me tell you about what's about to happen from here. And now the best of the brightest out there, they're already doing this. They have things already. They have literature. They're, doing video conferencing, kind of like how we are now. But that expectation is really going to put them in a good spot, because right now we have an ever moving target. And as we mentioned earlier in the phone call, you have something that is factual today that can change tomorrow because of this or that. And sometimes, when you're going through this process, some people can get emotional, right? This is their home. They put their life, blood, sweat, and tears into it. They have their kids' height, up and down the kitchen wall. And so I get those things. But what you can't have is, you can't have people get over emotionally taxed with what's going on because something happens here, or there's a detour, or there's a roadblock. Because at the end of the day, we all want to get the deal closed. We put a lot of time and effort, whether you're on the listing side, whether you're on the buy side, to get those people to the table. So if I could say anything is, qualify, overqualify, have expectation conversations, give them a good idea what's going on. I sit down with buyers and sellers from time to time on a phone call just to say, hey, here's what we're going on our end. Here's what you can expect. Because if they just, are thrown to the wolves, then, I mean, how does it look for us as professionals? That's what I say.
Yeah, I agree. And us as realtors, we're changing how we show houses, who we let into houses, which that part's long overdue, where buyers now, the house I'm selling tomorrow, their house is up for sale. And, there was a showing request, and we said, all right, send me your qualification letter. And Mr. Agent or Mrs. Agent, did you verify that this is the person you're meeting? And, that will eliminate the unnecessary people. And I've said it in a few broadcasts, but I'll say it again. When they're showing this house, man, doors are open, closet doors, kitchen cabinet doors. I told them, that buyer, walk in, walk out. That's it. They should not have to touch a light switch, should not have to touch anything in your home. Walk in, walk out. That's it. And tell us if you like it, because you really don't need to be touching stuff to know that when you're buying a home, that's the home you want to buy, right?
Exactly.
But hey, man, it was great getting on here with you. Any last comments? I mean, let everybody know you're open for business, right? We're open for business, right? Not
Yes,
really
sir.
restricted unless for some reason some county can't get you the search or something crazy, but open for business everywhere you're working, right?
Oh yeah, we're open for business, and as I mentioned, a handful of times during this call, there's always things that are changing. So we've done our best to communicate with each and every one of our clients, whether it's through the old ways of text messaging and phone calls, to creating community pages, to creating various updates, anything that we can on our social media pages to keep our clients, friends, and family involved. Please check out all of our pages. I'll give a shout out to Carly Alexi. She handles all of our social media. She is fantastic about getting out positive messages, the right messages, clear and concise. So if there's anything that you might need as a realtor, a lender, an attorney, whomever, and you have questions about core and where things stand, give us a call. We want to help you out, and more importantly, we want to get you to the table.
Yeah, awesome. And actually, why don't you have Carly put a couple of the pages in the comments, and when we're done here, why don't you put your contact info? What's the website?
CoreTitle.com.
That's it, CoreTitle.com. So, Bri, always a pleasure, man. I look forward to having this discussion again, hopefully when these rules lighten up for us. For anybody with questions, reach out to us in the state of New Jersey today on the 25th of March. Real estate sales are essential. So we are all open for business right now. Showings and stuff have to be done very safely. So we're navigating those paths. But closings and everything are still happening. So any questions, reach out, guys. Bri, always a pleasure. Talk to you soon, man.
Likewise. Take care.
See you.